Our journey continues because we've had a deep dive. If you were here this morning, you will have caught that into using AI in practice. We've taken a step back to see the bigger picture. What does it mean for ecosystem builders? What does it mean for people like us in our different countries and cities around the world? That's the theme of our next discussion. Still to come this morning, we're going to be looking at athletes and how they're embracing AI. And then, speaking of sport, we've got legendary Shark Tank investor, Uber entrepreneur, Mark Cuban is in the house. So much going on the main stage. But let's bring it back to experiences from people who have spent their time supporting many businesses. So Builders and Backers is a brilliant organization which is supporting and funding companies. It's led by a Gen board member, Donna Harris, and Google for Startups needs almost no introduction either. And I'm delighted to say that the leader of their program across North America is with us. So we've put them in conversation just to try and get our heads around what ecosystem building looks like in this new age, in the AI age and beyond. So please welcome up Donna Harris and Danny Navarro. Thank you, Donna. Welcome, Danny.
All right, good morning. Good to see you
Hello.
all. Danny, good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm feeling really underdressed with Ollie's jacket.
Oh my gosh, Ollie and his jackets, his clothes are amazing. So especially, I don't know if did y'all have fun last night at the dinner? He had some more amazing things on last night. We had some impromptu entertainment from him and Jonathan, so that was fun. Well, so let's jump in. I know we've got a short amount of time. We've had a lot of sessions so far on how AI is changing how companies get built, who gets to build them, where they get to build them, and the barriers to getting started are lower. The cost potentially is less of a blocker than it has been in the past. So very thrilling. But if you're an ecosystem builder, you're probably looking at all the trends and everything going on and asking, am I doing the right things in my community? How do I best support entrepreneurs for tomorrow in my community? So as you know, I'm having a conversation with Danny, who himself was a founder and has been with Google for now 15 years, heading Google for Startups across North America. But here's the thing, I knew the minute I looked at your LinkedIn page and the about language that is on there that you were going to be my kind of people. Because here's what it says. For many years, I've asked myself what the world would look like if everyone had equal access and resources to solve important problems for our communities. That question has been a guiding light for me ever since. Our kind of people, yeah? So let's jump in. We got a lot of ground to cover. All right, so awesome. Google has obviously some of the most powerful AI tools that are available, and the experts that are in your organization are unparalleled. So what does that look like now as you try to unleash that for founders across the world?
Well, first off, hi guys. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. You should know I'm really excited to be here right now. I've actually spoken to Donna in preparing for this conversation at length over the phone, on Zoom or Google Meets, but even in the backstage, I kept talking to her about this talk, and she's like, Danny, stop. Like, we will literally be on a stage talking about this right now because I want you just to hear everything that is in this person's amazing mind. I have had the chance to follow Donna's work for a long time. We've sort of worked in parallel worlds supporting founders across the country, and I guess before we get started, just know that sure, there's cool stuff from Google that I am really excited and happy to share, but really find time to just hear how this woman thinks. She's many years ahead of her time in supporting great founders. So please do yourself a favor and come find her for her brilliance. As it relates to Google, man, I just think of like pace. We are sprinting. It is crazy. I have been at Google for a long time now, and there's been a handful of these sort of big tech shifts that have happened. Every handful of years, 4 or 5 years, there's one of these kinds of moments, but this one is like one that I have not experienced in the 15 years that I've been at the company. And when I think of how do we how do we think about these tools as it relates to startups, it's all about pace, and it's just getting these tools in the hands of founders.
Yeah.
It's also thinking about who founders are and what the new makeup of companies could look like, what the new makeup of solutions could look like, and how, as ecosystem supporters, as an organization, my team, Google for Startups, how we can be helpful to the startup community. A lot has changed over the past couple years even.
Well, you were telling me a little bit about how your programs have evolved and how you're thinking about what's needed in this moment. Give us some examples of some of the things that you're doing as an organization.
Yeah, so one of the challenges that we were sort of tasking ourselves with, and if I could just maybe give a description of what it is that we do, Google for Startups supports founder communities all around the world. I lead our team in North America, but my teammates exist in places like Spain, in Korea, Japan, Poland, the UK, Israel, Germany, Brazil. I'm probably forgetting some of my teammates right now. I'm sorry to them. But the remit is the same. Be helpful to startup ecosystems around the world. In all of those other countries, we have physical spaces where we bring together founders and help community leaders throw events at no cost. We'll run acceleration programs. In the US, we're mostly focused on running programs across the country, lots of virtual-based programs. But the sort of through line is just be helpful to founders. And now we have to be helpful faster. So typically, let's say like a 3-month acceleration program or a 4-month acceleration program that we've dialed in and felt really comfortable about running, we're now trying to challenge ourselves to get that done in 2 days. 4 months to 2 days. And to be helpful to founders and get out of the way. And then try to be helpful again at a later point in time and get out of the way, rather than maybe a more historic model that is, kind of hand-holding over a very long period of time. And I think there's a couple reasons for that, but by and large, founders are asking for this. They're saying, look, I got to get to work now. I need to be prototyping. I need to be shipping. I need to be building this stuff. I don't have time to show up to an in-person thing, or even a virtual hour on a weekly basis is an ask. So out of respect of that time and a respect of the opportunity that we're in, how do we just shift how we think Google for Startups can be helpful to these founders? And the first thing is just, let's try to condense as much as we can. Let's also shift like the what. So we're gonna be doing some work largely around like AI integration. Founders are asking us time and time again, like, yes, I enjoy all this other stuff, but like, how do I make this real for my business? So we'll be, around the world, we'll be running a series of hands-on workshops where founders can just get their hands into our tools. We'll be using products like lightweight Google AI products like AI Studio, for example. What if we just did a half day with them where they have access to all of our multimodal work through Gemini in AI Studio? They don't need to spin up this massive instance, and they can just go build with us in the moment. That's one example, is just like, how do we shorten this work and how do we just help founders cook?
Yeah, so interesting, because I think in the past when we think about the support from companies like Google, it's been funding, it's been technology at significant discounts or free access to things. It's now more the expertise more than anything, is what I'm hearing.
For sure. For years, I helped lead a program called the Founders Fund, non-dilutive capital. We've done a little over almost $60 million in cash and hands-on support with founders. And by and large, we've shifted that work to just get hands-on and bring the tech to founders. So we're doing a program that I'm really excited about called AI Sprints, where founders will pitch us and say, hey, I have this ag tech startup. I think Gemini could be helpful, and my guess is we could increase crop yields for farmers if I had this model baked into my product. Say we like the pitch and we think that they have the right sort of expertise and domain expertise to do this, then we'll co-create features with them. And founders are telling us, like, yes, the check is nice, but like, give us the folks from DeepMind, give us your AI tools, give us the experts that we can sort of co-create these products together. And to be fair, like that sort of high-touch work is at the top of the pyramid, but there's like more scalable versions of that too that we're exploring, where we can reach more people, but just get the tools in the hands is the #1 priority for us right now.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about what this means for ecosystem leaders, right? If we think about the traditional ecosystem playbook, it's co-working space, it's boot camps, it's demo days, and a lot of these things were created, you know, I've been doing this work now almost 15 years, feeling pretty old. But how does this change now? What do we need to stop doing? What do we need to start doing in our ecosystems?
Life feels hazy right now, right? It's like time's weird. I don't know, it's bringing me back to like 2020 where I didn't know like what a week was anymore, or like a month or a day. Time just is kind of playing with me again, and I think that there's a lot that's relevant when supporting startup ecosystems is like, things feel very hazy for people. They feel really hazy for founders right now. There's so much noise about what tools to be using, or how to go about vibe coding, or you know what capital trends are happening now for in this AI era, what platforms you need to be using, and there's just so much noise that I think, you know, great ecosystems leaders need to help founders see clearly, see through, help them just take a step back. And you know, before, even a few years ago, running a company, people were juggling so many priorities as it is, so much noise as it is, that just almost exponentiated. So how do we just continue to help founders see clearly amidst a lot of noise? I also think like something we're doing is we're globalizing a lot of our work. And so I think that there's probably something to be shared there for ecosystem leaders, is like, you know, let's say my team, for example, we're running accelerator programs in the US, my teammates are running these in Brazil, we're running them in Japan and Korea and so forth. How do we just run a single program, but based on verticals? If we know there's this massive platform shift that's taking place and the tools are becoming ubiquitous and easily accessible for lots of people, how do we like bring lots of people together from around the world and just go really deep on verticals? So we'll be doing this for cybersecurity, we'll be doing it for GovTech, things like that. And I think that that's probably a bet that, you know, we're willing to stand by, is that like, we don't need to be running this in the United States, and you don't need to be running this or even on a specific state. And this is kind of a bet you have had a long time ago with your early Startup America, but now in your work. So I guess, how do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the biggest opportunities for ecosystems that aren't Silicon Valley or Austin, or, I mean, this is a moment where truly anybody can build. And it's particularly beneficial for people who are experts in a particular industry. So you get that farmer, you get that lawyer. They don't need to be a techie, especially if they can tap into resources and programs like yours, and if ecosystems are doing a smart job of thinking about how do we help bring these tools and technology into the hands. It is the era of what we call the everyday innovator.
Yeah. Mary Meeker just released a deck after like 5 years of not talking about internet trends. She released 340 slides of AI trends that are happening in the world, like last week. And one of her big convictions is this idea of just vertical and domain expertise, and how much opportunity there is in very specific sort of lanes like healthcare, manufacturing, legal, and so forth. And I think one really cool thing I get excited about for sort of ecosystem development is bringing people into these spaces that maybe historically didn't think this startup stuff was for them. Maybe they just have deep domain expertise, and now that stuff is so valuable, that deep ag experience, you know, that deep experience in the legal space, like that stuff is just opening up whole new categories and whole new areas of space for people to be included in that maybe weren't beforehand.
That's exactly right.
So I guess, like, how as leaders then do you look for new people to invite to these spaces and programs?
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing when we partner with ecosystems at Builders and Backers. we want there to be a universal on-ramp that certainly we want people coming into the ecosystem, but the majority of Americans have ideas.
Yeah.
They're not showing up at the incubator, the co-working space. So it's not a build it and have them come. We got to go out into our community. We got to find those people with those ideas and give them a, start here on the map in a way that shows they don't have to be techie. They don't have to have a lot of money, because you can validate your startup idea for, less than this piece of technology costs me today. So the barriers that we all have fought, if you're in the ecosystem building world for the last 15 years, those barriers are crumbling.
Oh, yeah.
And it does require us to think differently as ecosystem builders.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I invested in a startup, an angel investment in a company that I was so excited about in 2019, and this company was like doing really cool machine vision, computer vision stuff around screenshots. It's the most shared form of media on text message based, like any media is a screenshot. And I invested in this startup that was like bringing the screenshot to life. So let's say I just took a screenshot of a song, I could click it, I'm immediately now listening to this music. The tech was really cool, but I invested in this company because the team was just wildly smart PhDs, all super AI folks doing crazy next level research. And that company completely went under a year ago, because by the time that they found any semblance of product market fit, they couldn't afford their burn rate, because they had to pay for all these super expensive PhDs when their competitors didn't have to. People are now have access to the same tools that wildly expensive researchers were tasked with building just a few years ago. Not fun to lose out on that investment, but also really cool to see it. Whoa, like that's no longer the game that you need to be playing.
Yeah, and I'm with you on the pace. I mean, things have been moving fast the last 5 years, but the last 6 to 9 months, it just has dramatically accelerated in terms of the tools, the tech, the capability set, staying on top of the models. So we could be so deep into all of this, and I don't want to get the hook from the team backstage. So I do want to bring this back in the last minute or so. Where do we go from here, right? If we think about, we have a conference full of global ecosystem builders, what is something urgent that, the one takeaway of go home and do this, or here's the thing you should start focusing on?
I guess a few things come to mind. You said one. let me do a few. The first is like, this whole room is filled with leaders that are respected and trusted in their communities. There is this very specific moment in time that we have a chance to just like bend the arc of the future just a little bit. Like, if any of us have the opportunity to do that, how are we going to make this stuff work for humanity, for a society that we're all happy with and we're proud of, that makes for inclusive communities, that increases access, that actually solves real problems for people? Every person here, if they're the leader in their community, people are gonna listen to you. So I guess just feel comfortable about that responsibility. Is like, what's that little nudge to make this arc work in a direction that you're proud of? And the second thing is a little bit more tactical, but I've been spending a lot of time connecting founders with policymakers, largely thinking through that question, but involving policy folks way earlier into these conversations than sort of ever before. Yeah. And so I guess go home, think about what those conversations are like, and oftentimes at that sort of leadership level, politicians want to hear from those leaders, when now they should be hearing from folks that are using this stuff on the ground. Like, hey, this is what I'm really excited about. This stuff's kind of scary. Like, people, policymakers should be hearing this early and often, and now is the kind of moment. So I guess they're sort of related, but there is this really special moment. How do we make sure that we respect it and create a future that we're happy with?
Yeah. I mean, I think you've said it well. We can build faster with fewer resources. We can include more people than ever before, but we have to redesign how we do this, right? We've got to create the systems, the capital to support the resources and skills to meet the moment. And it's not a tweak, it's a re-architecture, because this is an entirely new moment, and one that is exciting for ecosystems around the world. So, Danny, thank you. I'm looking forward to staying in touch, and if you get a chance, please do go look at the Google for Startups page. They've got a lot of exciting work going on, and really you should, as ecosystem leaders, check it out and be fully aware of the opportunities for the founders in your communities.
Thank you, Donna.
Thanks, Danny.